calling her stiff wig, broad face, bulging eyes with like all these gorilla emojis over and over. First of all, don't say it even once, but like commenting it time after time after time after time in a row and a row and a row. That is bullying and that's harassment. And honestly, you should have consequences for that. I love you, but be so for real. I'm definitely going to keep talking about our little social experiment, Love Island, even though the season ended, because why not? Pop culture is us, and we are pop culture. And I will not stop talking about that, especially now before we even have the reunion. And what I want to talk about today is, at what point does criticizing reality TV contestants become bullying? That's the question we need to unpack. Welcome to I Love You, but be for real. I'm your host, Aniya Jade. Let's get right into it. So, current news since people have left the villa. Kenzie did her Call Her Daddy interview. She did the splits. Kayda's Instagram is deactivated. The core four felt the need to tell fans to stop bullying Zach with the story that they all reposted on their Instagrams. And every season we end up right at the same spot where people are called bullying on social media. The Islanders have to speak out or choose to or to not speak out against it. Some fans bully the fans or the people of the enemy of the person they like, etc., etc. Even the past couple of seasons, Love Island has issued warnings to viewers amid like growing negative discourse online. It's even gotten so bad where last year they had a video or like a meme of like Orlandria with the George Floyd I Can't Breathe. And then this year I think someone did it with Aniya or maybe Aniya and TT. And I don't think the conversation needs to be about, is bullying wrong, right? We all know bullying is wrong, cyberbullying, real bullying, all that is wrong. Point blank, period. I don't need another podcast. I don't need another tweet thread to tell me why bullying is wrong, because bullying, 1+1=2, it's not right. People die over it, right? I think the more interesting question is, have we lost the ability as both consumers and the creators and the TV stars to separate the difference between criticism, dialogue, and bullying? Have we lost that line? Because there's a line, and I think in order for reality TV to survive, we need to understand that line, and we need to, as both people who may decide to be in creative spaces. He's being bad because he hates when I'm giving other people attention. He's like, you're giving all these people attention and not me. And this is what he does every time. And that was just very funny to catch that live. What is the point? Let me start with like, what is the point of a social experiment reality TV? The point is for us to watch conflict, i.e. Casey versus Aniya, which highlighted how there's difference between like how men and women receive love, how men and women expect to receive love, and how they give love. Mistakes. Our girl Kenzie not knowing how to manage a roster, right? Among many other people's mistakes that they made. Growth. The jury's still out on who actually grew and who didn't because they've just come out of the villa. But honestly, to me, it seemed like on the Call Her Daddy interview, Kenzie had growth. Kenzie understood, like, hey, this is what I could have done differently. This is what I said that I shouldn't have said. Maybe I was just running my mouth a little bit. And then the Islanders say that Sincere seems like he's had growth since watching his actions in 4K on movie night. So growth, we see bad decisions in my best Corbin voice. Fuck the repercussions. I can't do it. Fuck the repercussions. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We see redemption and who we as viewers allow to be redeemable and who we say is not redeemable no matter what they do. Because, like, let's all be honest, there's going to be some of you who, like, Casey apologized to Aniya, and he needed to do that, right? Like, he should have never said things that he said about her when he was in Casa. However, there's still people are like, I hate him, and he shouldn't get any brand deals, and the bullying that he's getting is valid. So how did we decide that he's not worthy of redemption, but like the small little mistakes that Aniya made were worthy of like redemption? And like, I think they were, right? But why did we decide as like an audience she was allowed to have it and not him or other people? And then like we get to see relationships and like why baddies like Melanie decide to give men a second chance and third chances. Cuantos veces, as said by Melanie's mom. And if we can't discuss contestants' behavior and then the experiment loses its purpose, right? Like, discussing behavior is literally part of the reality TV experience, and the audience is arguably the most important participant in the social experiment. Beyond, like, yes, like, we wouldn't have it if people weren't watching TV stations, whatever, like, streaming, whatever needs views, whatever. But beyond that, it's like, it's not fun if we can't have dialogue on these people. But how do we draw the line between meaningful dialogue that holds people accountable, is critical, helps us reflect on maybe our own actions, the way we've moved throughout the world before, and bullying? So I want to, like, because it seems like maybe there's some confusion, I want to state a couple examples of what I think is meaningful dialogue, using some things that I've seen on social media this season circulating. I think Zach handled the post-intimacy conversation with Kayda poorly. It was immature, and he didn't want to be vulnerable. Meaningful. What's not meaningful, what would be bullying, is Zach can't have a bad bitch like Kayda. He's a PUSSY, he's this, he's that, and he, instead of being with her, he needs to go unalive himself, which people have given threats, right? And to his brother, Charlie, who was on last season of Love Island, did not make it as far, and like goes under comments and defends him vehemently, which I honestly, like, I think he takes it too far, because like there's some things where it's like people are just holding him accountable, but I think his brother going as hard as he has kind of like escalated it, in my opinion. Not to say that you shouldn't defend like your siblings and stuff. Like, for example, like Melanie's sister and mom coming on there, and Melanie's sister has commented on stuff too, but like Melanie's sister coming on there speaking life into her with her mom, like, you need to stand by your people, but not to the point where it's like everything they do is right and nothing that the audience is calling out is valid. Another example of meaningful dialogue that I've seen is like, I had a thread where I talked about, I think Dylan is manipulating Kenzie, and I think this is a form of emotional abuse. I did not see tears when I watched the footage that they showed us on him crying. They looked like fake crocodile tears, and I think because him coming in from Casa, he knew how she maneuvered. It was very interesting that he was so distraught. And I didn't say anything like, and he needs to die, he needs to go to therapy, she should kill him. Nothing like that. I just said, I think that this is emotional abuse. And these are the signs that I've seen from interviewing on this same podcast a domestic violence social worker, specialist, licensed, whatever. And I tied those signs that I saw from speaking with the professional to things that I saw from the footage that we were shown of whatever. That is meaningful and very important dialogue, especially because 1 in 4 women, I think it's even more than that, experience abuse or domestic violence at some point in their life. But what would be bullying is me saying he should unalive himself. Uh, he is, it's just something that when you look in his face, it's just something wrong with him. He needs to unalive himself. He don't look good. Or like constantly tagging him and stuff, right? Like tagging him, like saying all these negative, mean names, blah, blah, blah. Like one example of bullying that I saw that is insane was like some person commenting under Aniya's post the same thing over and over again, like 10, 15 times. Like, Sincere's family is right. You are a Fiona, with all these laughing emojis, or like calling her stiff wig, broad face, bulging eyes, with like all these gorilla emojis over and over. First of all, don't say it even once, but like commenting it time after time after time after time in a row and a row and a row. That is bullying and that's harassment. And honestly, you should have consequences for that. That should not be allowed. Like I don't we there's a whole other rabbit hole that I won't go down right now, but like the laws on like stalking harassment are so loosey goosey in my opinion that this stuff is allowed to happen and people just go behind a fake page, put a cartoon picture or no picture at all and can harass people. That's bullying. But having dialogue, not agreeing with someone, whether it be like not agreeing with someone on the show's actions or not agreeing with my takes, because a lot of people said it's not that deep. It's not that deep. I don't think Dylan did that. You're being harmful. You're being this. You're being that to me. Um, but they said it, in my opinion, was pretty respectful. Okay, like you don't have to agree with me. You said you think this is harmful, and I said, okay, I understand where you're coming from. We're gonna agree to disagree. Perfectly fine. There's so much dialogue that happens on the internet where people don't agree with each other and they don't agree with people's takes on or perspectives on how someone acted. That's fine. But that's different than the bullying. So I want to go now to the post that what's Aniya and all them, the core four, had posted in on their stories on Instagram in defense of Zach, saying, no one deserves to be bullied, blah, blah, blah. And 100% agree. That's why we're having this conversation. But at what point are we saying that, like, someone having an opinion on your actions on live TV that you agreed to go on is bullying, right? Because honestly, I'm not saying he didn't get bullied, because I think anyone who goes on any reality TV thing gets some form of hate and bullying that happens. It just happens. You could be the most perfect angel. I am sure that there's like someone in your DM who's saying something hateful because you've blown up. So I'm sure he's gotten some bullying, but the way that I received their stories in unison was that Zach was receiving the blunt of bullying and like kind of the worst, most damaging insults. One I think that I heard about was like people telling his family to go back to the Byzantine Empire, which is like the Greek history or whatever. And while those things are wrong, I think a lot of why they defended him so vehemently was because he personally is sensitive. And in his sensitivities, they felt, because this is their friend that they love and care about, they felt the need to defend him because he's talked about being insecure. I remember a few times on the show when he wasn't in the top, he felt really down on himself and was like, is it because I'm not good enough for you, Kayda? Does that mean that he's abusive? Does that mean he's a bad person? No, it doesn't mean he's a bad person. It just means he might be a little insecure and he might care about what other people think more than all of us care, right? And it brings the question of, are creators and stars afraid of criticism? And should we, I don't want to say, should someone like Zach, who may be a little bit more sensitive to criticisms, have gone on a show like Love Island, where you're going to not only get criticism, but actual bullying. And I do think as fans, as creators of content about our reality TV stars, we have a responsibility to not bully and to be conscientious of the line between dialogue and bullying. However, I'm not going to stop the dialogue, and I'm not going to, if I think there was actions that you took that you could have done better, I'm going to speak on it. I don't think you're a bad person for it, right? The whole point of reality TV is that we're watching human beings be human as humans. So we can gauge their behavior. We could gauge our ex-boyfriend's behavior. We could gauge our own behavior when we were 20. It doesn't matter. We can gauge how we think we would behave when we are 20. There's so many lessons to be learned from watching reality TV, and removing the dialogue and criticism of when you disagree or think that something shows a deeper pattern would defeat the purpose of reality TV as it is. And then, like, I think we're starting to use bullying as a catch-all word for criticism at times, especially when we get fan bases that feel very strongly about one of their faves. So, like, for me, I've experienced when, like, Casey and Aniya were still together. It was before Casa. And right after the episode where they wrote the letters to each other, I was like, I'm not sold on them yet. It seems like they both really respect each other and objectively think each other's attractive, but they might not be each other's type. But they really do respect each other and see the value in each other. And I was getting comments like, you're weird. Oh my God, why everybody want to talk about her? Why don't you like our black queen? Da, da, da. And I'm like, I'm not bullying her. I actually said nothing negative about her in that statement at all. Also, I've never participated in that the wig bullying, which, like, I think it's bullying. The reason I'm gonna say it's bullying, even though we could say, oh, it's criticism, blah blah blah, the reason I'm gonna call it bullying is the extent of how many screenshots people took of that wig being stiff and then posting it when we know there's nothing that she could do. Because sometimes I saw, like, a hairdresser say, sometimes it's literally like you might think that you might have ordered from that hair supplier before, and that hair just might have came from a different, like, bundle that the other hairs that you used to have. Like, she might have not done nothing wrong. She might have got really good quality hair because she has wigs on her page that she was wearing that was good. So it's like, I think that's bullying. We know Miss Mama's is in Fiji for 6 weeks. Like, if she could help it, she would. So I do think that's bullying. But anyway, I think I want to go back to the question of, like, can someone be held accountable without being harassed? As as consumers, can we be responsible enough to say, I want to have this dialogue without harassing, without feeling so strongly that we want to wish hate upon others, right? Even the brands jumping in on the conversation and piling on with Melanie and saying, Dear Melanie, like, you're going to get all these things for free. Multiple brands, like dozens of brands at least, saying, we'll give you this for free for life if you leave sincere. Miss Mapas clearly likes that man, okay? And she might not leave him. Or when she do, she's gonna do it on her own time. But we're not in their relationship. And to pile on and make her feel like she's less than intelligent is bullying. And I never want someone to lose their mental health over a TV show, even though I do believe they sign up for it, and you gotta have thicker skin to be able to take criticism or ignore it if you don't agree with it. Um, because reality TV is not going to survive if every criticism is met with the bullying claim. Um, and I want to ask y'all, where do you draw the line between criticism and bullying? What responsibility do we as fans have? What responsibilities do creators have? And the people who decide to sign up for that show, what responsibility do they have to take? We've gotten so uncomfortable with disagreement amongst ourselves that we're starting to call everything bad or hurtful. And that's wrong. And I want to keep reality TV alive. It's the best thing we've ever decided to create. If you've enjoyed today's episode, follow the podcast, subscribe wherever you're watching, and come join the I Love You But Be So For Real community. We got plenty more opinions where that came from, and I'll talk to y'all next time.